Assalamualaikum everyone. Welcome to my channel. Our today's topic of discussion is anemia and its classification. We basically classify anemia according to the MCV or according to the mechanism. So on basis of MCV, anemia can be classified into three categories known as microcytic, macrocytic, and normocytic. So let's first discuss each of them separately. So microcytic anemia is when MCV is less than 80. Whenever MCV is less than 80, we call it microcytic anemia, whereas macrocytic anemia is referred to as the anemia where MCV is greater than 100. And the normocytic anemia is the kind of anemia where MCV is between 80 to 100. Alright, so I hope it would be clear for you guys so far. So, what are the examples of microcytic anemia? In microcytic anemia, we have iron deficiency anemia, anemia of chronic disease, thalassemia, and lead poisoning. All of these are included in the microcytic anemia. Now let's discuss the macrocytic anemia. So basically macrocytic anemia is further classified into two categories. Alright, so here are the two classifications of macrocytic anemia. One is megaloblastic anemia and the second one is non-megaloblastic anemia. Alright, so here we have the non-megaloblastic anemia, okay? So what is the megaloblastic anemia? In megaloblastic anemia, there are immature large RBCs and hypersegmented neutrophils. So what is the megaloblastic anemia? It has immature RBCs and hypersegmented neutrophils. Clear so far? And in the megaloblastic anemia, we have these types of anemia. Commonly known as vitamin B12 deficiency anemia, folate deficiency anemia, and drug-induced anemia. Coming to the non-megaloblastic anemia. Here we have large mature RBCs. Unlike the megaloblastic anemia in which we have immature RBCs, alright? So in non-megaloblastic anemia we have large mature RBCs. And the types of anemia included here are pregnancy-induced anemia, alcohol-induced anemia, and hypothyroidism. The anemia in hypothyroidism is a non-megaloblastic anemia. Clear so far? Now let's get back to the second classification that is based on the basis of mechanism. So let me summarize the classification of anemia on the basis of MCV. We have microcytic anemia, macrocytic anemia, and we have normocytic anemia. Microcytic anemia is when MCV is less than 80. Macro is when it is more than 100, and normo is when it is 80 to 100. And I guess we have not discussed the normocytic anemia. So let's discuss it first. So basically, normocytic anemia is also further classified into two categories. When retic count is increased. Okay, so here we have two types of anemia. Anemia due to blood loss and anemia and the hemolytic anemia. And the second type here is when the retic count is decreased, low. Here we have bone marrow disorders including the aplastic anemia. So the normocytic anemia is when MCV is between 80 to 100. It is further classified into two types according to the retic count. When the retic count is high, it is due to blood loss or hemolytic anemia, and when the retic count is decreased or low, it includes the aplastic anemia. And macrocytic anemia includes megaloblastic and non-megaloblastic anemia, and the microcytic anemia includes these types. Now let's discuss the anemia on the basis of mechanism. Anemia can be due to decreased production of RBCs, decreased hematopoiesis. So let's discuss that first. Decreased production or hematopoiesis. Here we have aplastic anemia. Here we have chronic renal disease, CKD, in which there is also decreased erythropoiesis. Chronic kidney disease. And we have iron deficiency anemia, vitamin B12 deficiency anemia, anemia of chronic disease, and hypothyroidism. Second cause of the mechanism that might cause anemia includes increased destruction of RBCs. So there are many cases where there is decreased production that can lead to anemia, and there are also many other cases in which there is increased destruction of the RBCs leading to anemia. So increased destruction is classified into two categories here. Okay, so blood or RBC's destruction can be inside a blood vessel or it can be outside the blood vessel. So it includes intravascular hemolysis or extravascular hemolysis. So the intravascular hemolysis includes DIC, disseminated intravascular coagulation, hemolytic uremic syndrome, mechanical heart failure. And the extravascular hemolysis leading to anemia includes hypersplenism, and the hemolytic anemia. Okay, so hemolytic anemia can be further classified into the inherited or acquired. So inherited hemolytic anemia includes sickle cell anemia, or hereditary spherocytosis. And the acquired hemolytic anemia includes malaria, in which there is a parasitic infection that leads to the uh, destruction of the RBCs. So, what can be other mechanism that can cause anemia? There is decreased production, increased destruction, and the third one here being blood loss. So there is another mechanism in which there is a blood loss either through trauma or internal bleeding that can cause anemia.